When people talk about basketball glory, they often glorify the point guards who control the pace or the centers who dominate the paint. But small forwards, despite being one of the most important positions on the court, rarely get the same level of recognition. They're often overshadowed by flashier guards and towering big men, leaving them caught in the middle with little appreciation for the versatility they bring. Jack of all trades, master of none. The small forward is expected to do everything: score, defend, rebound, pass, and even handle the ball. But the problem is, they're rarely allowed to specialize. Point guards are praised for assists, centers for rebounds, and shooting guards for scoring. The small forward, on the other hand, is expected to juggle all these roles without being celebrated for excelling in just one. Guard the best, get no credit. Another brutal aspect of being a small forward is the defensive responsibility. They're usually tasked with guarding the other team's best player, whether that's a sharpshooting guard or a dominant wing. When they succeed, the victory is chalked up to team defense. When they fail, the blame lands squarely on their shoulders. Image prompt: a small forward sweating as they try to guard a superstar opponent, while teammates stand relaxed in the background. Too small for the paint, too big for the perimeter. Small forwards live in a basketball purgatory. They're often not tall or strong enough to battle centers and power forwards in the paint, yet not quick enough to keep up with speedy guards on the perimeter. This leaves them constantly mismatched, struggling to find a true home on the floor. Pressure to be the scorer. While they're expected to do it all, small forwards are also pressured to put points on the board. If they can't score consistently, they risk being labeled as role players. This forces them to take difficult shots, often against taller defenders or faster guards, leaving them criticized for inefficiency. Rebounding expectations without the size. Despite being smaller than most big men, small forwards are still expected to help out on the boards. Coaches constantly demand they crash the glass, but when they're boxed out by power forwards and centers with longer wingspans and more muscle, the effort often feels pointless. The endless running. Small forwards are arguably the most overworked on the court. They have to sprint in transition, run through screens, crash the boards, and still stay locked in defensively. By the end of the game, their legs are often drained, yet they're still expected to close strong. Overlooked in highlights. When the highlight reels are made, it's the guards draining deep threes or the centers throwing down monstrous dunks that get featured. Small forwards, despite their hustle plays, crucial stops, or steady scoring, are often ignored. Their contributions don't sell as well, even if they're the glue holding the team together. The versatility trap. Versatility should be a strength, but for small forwards, it often turns into a curse. Because they can do everything decently, teams rely on them too much to cover weaknesses. Instead of being appreciated for their balance, they're burdened with endless responsibilities and blamed when anything goes wrong. The physical toll. Playing small forward is physically punishing. They're constantly colliding with bigger players in the paint, while also chasing down guards on the perimeter. This mix of physicality and speed demands wears their bodies down faster than most positions, making longevity a huge challenge. Rarely the face of the franchise. How often do you hear a small forward being the official face of the team compared to point guards or dominant big men? Unless they're superstars like LeBron James or Kevin Durant, most small forwards are overlooked when it comes to marketing, branding, and fan recognition. Underappreciated hustle. Small forwards do the dirty work that doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, rotating on defense, cutting without the ball, boxing out, or setting up fast breaks. But because these aren't flashy plays, they rarely get recognition from fans, commentators, or even their own teammates. The loneliness of the middle. Being stuck between the backcourt and frontcourt can feel isolating. Guards form their own unit, bigs bond over paint battles, but small forwards often feel like outsiders. They float between both groups without fully belonging to either, making the role feel even more thankless. Always a trade piece. When teams look to upgrade their roster, small forwards are often the first ones thrown into trade packages. Because they're seen as versatile and replaceable, they rarely enjoy long-term stability with one team unless they're a superstar. The unsung heroes. Being a small forward is about sacrifice. They carry the burden of versatility, the thankless defensive assignments, and the exhausting workload without ever getting the true spotlight. While every position in basketball has its challenges, small forwards are uniquely stuck in the middle, expected to be everything, but rarely appreciated for it. That's why, in many ways, it truly sucks to be a small forward.